A jealous ex accused me of cheating and claimed she was pregnant. Turns out, she was the one messing around and the baby wasn't even mine. I'm 28 now, and honestly, my life's been nothing short of a soap opera lately. My ex-girlfriend, Melissa, she's 26, we split up in a pretty nasty way about 2 or 3 months ago. We'd been together for a couple of years, and to be real, things had started falling apart long before we officially called it quits. But the stunt she pulled recently? I still can't fully wrap my head around it. Let me back up a little and give you some context. Melissa and I first met at a house party through mutual friends. We hit it off right away, felt like we were on the same wavelength from day one. That first year together? It was great. We liked the same kinds of movies, had a similar sense of humor, loved trying new places to eat, and we just genuinely enjoyed hanging out. We even talked about what our future might look like as a couple. I work as a software engineer, and Melissa's a graphic designer. Both of our jobs keep us busy and under pressure, but somehow, we always made sure to carve out time for each other. Back in the early days, we were like something out of a feel-good romantic movie, weekend road trips on a whim, checking out random restaurants in the city, lazy Sundays binge-watching shows. We met each other's families, too. My parents adored her, and from what I could tell, hers were cool with me as well. But as time went on, little cracks started forming in our relationship. At first, it was subtle stuff. Melissa would mention how much time I was spending at work, or make comments about how close I was with a few of my female friends. I brushed it off, assuming it was just normal couple stuff. But things escalated quickly. Her jealousy started spiraling out of control. She'd get pissed even if I talked to my female friends in a group setting. Then she started secretly going through my phone when I wasn't looking, and questioning every text I got, every call I made. I tried to reassure her, talk things through, be patient, but no matter what I said, it didn't make a difference. One night, I went out for dinner with my best friend, Jake, and his girlfriend. Melissa was supposed to come too, but she bailed last minute because of something that came up at work. Later that evening, she called me in tears, absolutely losing it. She was convinced I'd lied to her about who I was with. Apparently, one of our mutual friends just so happened to be at the same restaurant, posted a story on Snapchat, and she saw it. It took me hours to calm her down and convince her that I wasn't cheating. Things really started spiraling when a big project dropped at work. I was staying late more and more, grinding to meet deadlines. The team was mixed, guys and girls, and Melissa just couldn't handle it. She started calling me non-stop, like 10 times a day. She even showed up at my office unannounced a few times, just to check in. Eventually, she began following me, hoping to catch me doing something wrong. I tried everything I could think of to ease her mind. I offered to introduce her to my coworkers. I turned on location sharing so she could see where I was at all times. I even seriously considered backing out of the project altogether. But none of it was enough. The constant suspicion, the accusations, the lack of trust, it was draining the life out of me. The breaking point came when Melissa accused me of sleeping with Emily, a colleague I'd been working closely with on that same project. Emily and I were putting in long hours, trying to get things across the finish line, and we exchanged a bunch of messages, strictly work-related. Melissa saw a couple of those texts and lost her damn mind. One evening, while Emily and I were in a meeting room prepping a presentation, Melissa stormed in like a hurricane. She started screaming, crying, accusing Emily of trying to steal me away. She hurled every insult she could think of at her. I tried to defuse the situation, calm her down, but she was in full meltdown mode. She even threw a potted plant at me, thank God she missed. We ended up having to call building security to get her out of there. I was beyond embarrassed. Emily was completely stunned. The next day, I had to sit down with my boss and explain the whole disaster. Thankfully, he was understanding, but he made it clear that nothing like that could ever happen again. Emily stayed professional about it, but things got awkward between us. And the worst part? People at the office started looking at me differently, like I was that guy with the unhinged girlfriend. After that whole scene at the office, I finally realized there was no saving the relationship. It was over. The next day, I took a personal day from work and drove over to Melissa's place to break things off for good. I sat her down and told her, straight up, that I couldn't take the constant accusations anymore. The lack of trust, the emotional roller coasters, it wasn't just damaging us, it was bleeding into my work, my friendships, every part of my life. She didn't take it well. Not even close. The yelling started almost immediately. Then came the crying, the insults. She accused me of never loving her, said I'd used her, claimed I'd been cheating the entire time. She even threw some of my stuff out her apartment window, right into the street. Honestly, it was a disaster. And as I was leaving, she screamed after me that she'd make sure I suffered, that I'd pay for breaking her heart. At the time, I chalked it up to drama. I figured it was all just heat of the moment stuff, and honestly, I felt a wave of relief wash over me the second I walked out that door. I thought I was finally free. But for weeks after that, Melissa kept pushing. She'd blow up my phone with calls and texts. She started showing up at places where she knew I hung out. One minute she was begging me to give her another chance. The next she was threatening to tell everyone what kind of liar and cheater I supposedly was. I ended up blocking her number, blocked her on every social media app one use. After that, things finally started to quiet down. I focused on getting my life back on track, dived headfirst into work, started hitting the gym again, and reconnected with friends I'd drifted away from while I was caught up in that toxic mess. It felt good. Like I could finally breathe again. Then, just last Friday, I was home alone, enjoying a peaceful night for once. I'd ordered a pizza, cracked open a beer, had a movie queued up, and I was fully in chill mode. Out of nowhere, there was a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I was a little thrown. I opened it, and there was Melissa. She looked pale, totally worn out, like she hadn't slept in days. Before I could even get a word out, she just blurted it out. "I'm pregnant. And it's yours." I stood there frozen. My first reaction? Total disbelief. We'd always been careful, and given how things had ended between us, my gut told me this was just another manipulative move to drag me back in. I asked her how far along she was. She said, about 2 months. My head started spinning. 2 months ago, yeah, we were technically still together back then, but everything was already falling apart. I tried to remember the last time we'd actually been intimate, but that whole stretch was just a blur of arguments and tension. Honestly, I couldn't even pinpoint a specific night. I let her inside, mostly out of shock, not because I suddenly felt warm and fuzzy toward her. We sat down in the living room, and I asked how she found out. When did she take the test? She told me she'd missed her period, took a test at home, and then went to the doctor to confirm it. I told her I needed time to process all of this. I got up, offered her some water, and went into the kitchen just to catch my breath and gather my thoughts. When I came back, I caught her going through my phone, the one I'd left on the coffee table. "What the hell are you doing?" I snapped. She jumped, dropped the phone, and mumbled, "I was just checking the time." "No. You were snooping again, just like always. I'm done with this." At that point, I told her straight, before I could even begin to take any of this seriously, I needed proof. I asked for a paternity test. She exploded. She said I was accusing her of lying, that I was being unfair, that I should just trust her. Which was pretty damn ironic, considering how she never trusted me. She looked me dead in the eyes, tears building up, and said, "After everything we've been through, you should know me better." I would never lie about something like this. But all I could think about was how often she'd called me a liar, how many times she'd accused me of cheating when I hadn't done a thing wrong. So no, I wasn't going to just take her word for it. Not anymore. I told her I wasn't saying she was lying, but given how everything ended between us, and how she'd acted in the past, I needed solid proof before I could even consider what she was claiming. I said I'd be willing to talk about everything further, but only if she showed medical confirmation of the pregnancy and agreed to a paternity test. That's when she lost it. She called me every name in the book. Said I was a coward for not stepping up. Said I was running from responsibility. Before she left, Melissa threw one last threat over her shoulder, said she was going to tell all our mutual friends and even my family that I was abandoning her and the baby. Then she slammed the door and stormed off. Since that night, I've been a mess. I can't focus at work. I toss and turn at night, constantly on edge. Part of me keeps wondering, was I too harsh? What if she really is pregnant? But then there's this other part of me that just can't shake the feeling that this is all part of some game, another way to pull me back in. I've spent hours reading up on false pregnancy claims and the legal side of paternity issues. I even started writing her a message more than once, but every time I almost hit send, I remembered just how toxic things got between us. And how much calmer, lighter, freer I've felt since we broke up. I haven't told anyone. Not my family. Not even Jake, my best friend. I honestly don't know what to do. Did I screw up by not believing her right away? Should I have handled it differently? I keep replaying our conversation over and over in my head, trying to figure out if I missed something. Yeah, she looked different, tired, anxious, worn down. But couldn't that just be the emotional fallout from everything that happened between us? And another thing, why wait 2 months to tell me if she really is pregnant? Wouldn't she have known sooner? Why the delay? I'm terrified she's going to tell people before I even get a chance to figure out the truth. My parents, man, it would crush them to even think I'd walk away from a pregnant girlfriend. And my friends? I don't even want to imagine what they'd say. I've always prided myself on being the guy people could count on, solid, dependable, the one who does the right thing. Just the idea of them thinking I'm some scumbag who ditched a pregnant woman eats me alive. But at the same time, I can't just blindly trust her. Not after everything she put me through. Having a kid is no small thing. It's a huge responsibility. And honestly, I don't think either of us is ready for that, especially with how broken our relationship is. I thought about asking some of our mutual friends if they'd heard anything, but I'm scared that just bringing it up would light a fire, and if it turns out she isn't pregnant, I'll have started a whole mess of gossip for nothing. So yeah. I'm stuck. Torn between wanting to do the right thing and not wanting to be played for a fool again, and what if Melissa hasn't told anyone yet? What if I'm the only one who knows? That's the thing, I don't want to be the guy who spreads a rumor that turns out to be false. If this whole pregnancy thing isn't real, and I start talking to people about it, I could end up looking like a complete idiot, or worse, like I'm trying to smear her. But there's this one thought that keeps clawing at me, and honestly, it scares the hell out of me. What if it's true? What if she really is pregnant? I'm not ready to be a dad. Melissa and I used to talk about having kids someday, in some distant future, when life was more stable, but it never felt real. And now, the idea of being tied to her for the rest of my life, after everything we've been through, it literally makes me shiver. And then there's the darker thought, the one I try not to dwell on, but it keeps creeping in anyway. What if the baby's not even mine? I mean, Melissa used to accuse me of cheating constantly, over and over, with this wild intensity. And sometimes, that kind of paranoia isn't just insecurity, it's projection. What if she was seeing someone else the whole time? What if all those accusations were her way of covering her own guilt? It's a horrible thing to think, but I have to consider every possibility now. I have to. The more I turn it over in my mind, the more overwhelmed I get. I feel like I'm trapped in this mental box where every option is bad. If I reach out to her to ask more questions, am I just opening the door to another manipulation? And if I stay silent, could I end up walking away from my own child? I know I have to do something. I know that. But right now, I'm stuck in this paralysis. Every path looks like it leads straight into a wall. Part of me keeps hoping Melissa will reach out again, send more info, agree to what I asked. But so far, it's just been silence. And honestly, sometimes I catch myself thinking, maybe I should just give in and do what she wants. Go along with it. Avoid the fight. But I know that's not the answer. If there's really a child involved, that kid deserves parents who are steady, mature, and fully responsible, not someone who's just giving in to avoid conflict. I've even considered talking to a lawyer, just to know my options, get some clarity. But that feels like jumping the gun. What if it's all just a misunderstanding? A false alarm? Would bringing in legal help be taking it way too far at this stage? This whole situation has made me rethink everything, our entire relationship. All the patterns, all the red flags I brushed off. I keep asking myself how I ended up here. And more than anything, I just wish I had some kind of roadmap for what the hell I'm supposed to do next. Okaying back now, I can't help but wonder, did I miss the signs? Were there red flags I just ignored? I always thought of myself as a decent guy, loyal, patient, trying my best to be understanding. But maybe that's exactly what fed into her behavior. Maybe I should have ended it way earlier instead of trying to fix something that was clearly broken. It's been a week since Melissa showed up at my door, and I still don't have any answers. Not real ones, anyway. Every day since has felt like a ticking time bomb. If she is pregnant, decisions are coming, big ones. But how can you make any kind of decision when you're still not sure what's even real? The question keeps echoing in my head, was I wrong to ask for proof? Should I have been more sensitive? More trusting? Or was I right to be cautious, considering everything we'd been through? Honestly, I don't even know anymore. My thoughts are all over the place. And that's why I want to ask you, if you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Hey, everyone. It's been about 3 weeks since I posted my story, and a lot has happened since then. I wanted to share an update on the situation with Melissa and her claim that she's pregnant. First off, thank you to everyone who took the time to comment on my original post. Your thoughts, advice, and different perspectives really helped me feel a little less alone in all of this and helped me start sorting through the mess in my head. A lot of you told me to stand my ground, to insist on proof before getting emotionally involved. Others said to stay open to the fact that Melissa might genuinely be telling the truth and that I should be ready if this turns out to be real. After a few days of radio silence following our last blow-up, Melissa finally messaged me. She apologized for the screaming, the drama, the way she handled things. She said she could understand why I might have doubts. She told me she was willing to provide medical confirmation and to take a paternity test once it was medically safe to do so. And yeah, I felt a wave of relief. She seemed calmer. More rational. It felt like maybe we could actually have a real conversation for once. But I'll be honest, my guard is still way up. Just because she sounded reasonable now doesn't erase everything that came before. We agreed to meet up at a local coffee shop to talk things through. Just the two of us, on neutral ground. So, that's where we are.